Hello again. So, not settings. There were some balance changes, and I'm unsure why I never thought to do a balance change video before. So, yeah. This will be a fairly brief, I hope, video. I'm unsure. But I guess we'll start overviewing the changes. There are changes to cabins and weapons. So, hurricanes. Damage reduced by 7.5%, and rate of locking onto the targets reduced by 20%. Not there. That is decent. I honestly don't think the lock-on will make much of a difference. These are the Hurricanes, for those of you who are not familiar with the game. They are a homing rocket. Yeah, the damage is a bit more significant. The lock-on, I don't think will be that big of a problem. I could be wrong about that, because I was playing the game back when lock-on was not almost instant, and I actually kind of preferred it that way. But, I don't know. Harvester damage increased by 7.5%. So, that is pretty decent for a weapon. Harvester is a melee weapon. It has resistance to damage and so on. Damage from hitting into people. So, Jubaku damage, number 3, Jubaku damage was reduced by 5%. I'm fairly certain that anybody who plays the game, the Jubakus are no longer in the store. But I'm fairly certain that anybody who plays the game is well aware of, the Jubakus. If I can find them. There does not seem to be a Jubaku build in the exhibition. Oh, here they are. The Jubakus are a electric mine layer that creates a beam of electricity between the canisters that they throw out. Alright. Next change, number 4. The Varoon's damage was increased by 5%. The Varoon are a crossbow. They fire multiple bolts. These, no, that's a toadfish. Right, yeah. These bolts, will lodge into the target that you fire at. If you hit one of these bolts with another bolt from the same burst or from a different burst, but from the same, but they have to be hit by a crossbow. If you hit one of these bolts, it will explode, dealing an additional 1,000 damage. So, that's decent. Again, it was a damage increase, so this means that the weapon itself will deal more damage when it launches the projectiles into the opponent. I'm unsure if the explosions from hitting a lodged bolt will increase as well. Nidhogg, damage increased by 5%. The Nidhoggs are no, these are explosives. The Nidhoggs are a shotgun. They're classified as a single load shotgun, but they actually hold 2 shots. So, technically not accurate, but yeah. They do decent damage. Their next burst, their next 2 shots gain increased damage every time they kill a target. Number 6, Waltz damage was increased by 3%. The Waltz are a rocket launcher. They fire 3 projectiles in a spiral formation, or in a spiraling shot. 3 spiraling projectiles or rockets that deal damage. Obviously, they what was it? Their rotation speed is increased the faster you move, and I believe their accuracy as well. Avalanche damage reduced by 5%. I'm honestly not sure. That sounds like a decent nerf, but I am not very well acquainted with the Avalanche, as I don't even know if it's in the store currently. But it is a grenade launcher that holds 3 shots. Its main feature is that it is more accurate than both Retcher and Fortune. Or, not Fortune, Retcher and Impulse. This would be the Impulse, this would be the Retcher. And yeah, that's about it. I believe it does a little less damage than the Retcher, but yeah. A hit by at least one projectile from a salvo from a distance of at least 25 meters increases damage by 2.5% and speeds up the weapon's reloading by 1.2%, stacks up to 10 times. Okay. That's not bad. Again, I don't have access to them. I rarely ever see them being used, so I'm actually not very well acquainted with what they do. And yeah, they are not in the store. So yeah, they are currently unavailable. Alright. So underneath that, Retcher damage reduced by 3%. I just showed you the Retcher, so there's that. Black Death damage increased by 10%. I'm not entirely sure if that was necessary. The Black Death is a flamethrower. Its damage is increased by, or not increased, its duration. When you activate it, it starts firing, obviously. It blasts a stream of fire, and for every part that it destroys, it's the amount of ammo in its clip is increased, or the duration it will shoot for is increased by a little bit. So here it says 0.2 seconds for each part destroyed. But yeah, this guy is fairly strong, and I've been demolished by them before. So I'm not sure if a 10% damage increase was necessary, but I also almost never see them being played, so maybe it was. BC-17 Tsunami. Again, I'm not well acquainted with the Tsunamis. I'm more acquainted with them than the Avalanche, but the Tsunami is a cannon that was a reward for leaderboard placement in one of the more recent battle passes. It's not available in the store, so only people who are part of that, and I think there may have been a pack at one point that had a Tsunami or two. Other than that, it's not available. But it gains I think a 50% bonus. Each direct hit charges the cannon by 50%. After it's fully charged, the next shot will have a plus 75 to damage, 100% to accuracy, and 50% to blast radius. Increases the impulse and piercing damage. Or increased impulse and piercing damage. So yeah. They do a lot of damage, but they can barely turn. So, yeah, you need to have a good build for that. Alright, Lacerator. Damage increased by 12.5%. I wasn't too surprised when I saw that, because the Lacerator, that's not it, is this. What appears to be some form of bandsaw that can be mounted to your vehicle. Now, it only has it only takes 3 energy, so you can mount 4 of these. But even with that, I only at one point actually had problems with the Lacerator, and that was one build that just so happened to sneak up behind me and grind away at me for a bit before I noticed him. And then when I did notice him, it was already too late. But he also had a fairly high level Lacerator, if I remember correctly. And he only had one of them. So yeah, the Lacerator, other than that, didn't actually seem to do much damage when it first came out. So I was kind of like, And I was not surprised at all to see it in the buffs. Quasar, damage increased by 7.5%. I'm not sure if that was necessary, but considering I rarely see it, so almost no one seemingly uses it, I guess it may have been. This is the Quasar. It shoots a ball of energy, which I believe is that blue stuff in here. But yeah, it shoots that and deals both some splash damage and apparently energy damage. That's not the... So, yeah. The main problem with it is it's a large target. It's a large weapon, so therefore a large target, and its projectiles move slowly. Now, whether that's a problem or not is up to you. Mace, damage increased by 5%. Mace is a single load shotgun that charges as you drive. So, it starts off with 0 ammo. You can have up to 4 of them, as it takes only 3 energy. It starts off with 0 ammo. Driving will fill its clip. So, the longer you drive without shooting at someone, the more ammo you'll have in the clip. This does mean that the weapon can basically have infinite ammo, I believe, for each for each shot you have in the weapon. The next loading another shot will be slowed down. So I think the more shots you have in the chamber, the slower it will be to load another shot in. I don't remember though, that may have changed. So, Rupture, damage increased by 5%. This is decent, I think. I haven't played with the Ruptures in a while. And when I did, I wasn't impressed with them. That's why I never actually did a full video on them. These things used to be insanely overpowered. They are not quite as much anymore. They are still very decent on Leviathans that can have more than 4. Because you can have up to 4 of these, again, only 3 power. They pierce, as far as I can tell, they pierce all the way through a vehicle. So, there is that, but they do seemingly very little damage. They do charge up a sort of overdrive, or whatever you might want to call it, mode, where they suddenly reload and fire super fast. And they have like, 6 charges of that? And they lose a charge every time they reload. Oh no, actually they lose it, not every time they reload, but it lasts for, I don't know. I don't know if it's 6 seconds or what, but it lasts for a duration, and then you have to recharge it. It gets charged by you dealing damage. Corvo. Corvo was nerfed. Reloading time increased by 0.25 seconds. Damage reduced by 3%. Now, this is a fairly small nerf. I wasn't too surprised when I saw it, but yeah, it wasn't exactly a welcome by some of my teammates, which is understandable. The Corvo works similar to a manually operated autocannon. In other words, not an autocannon. It works similar to an autocannon as far as shots and everything, but it's manually operated like a cannon. It is classed as a revolver. It fires a volley of 3, 2, and 1 shots, and then it reloads. It doesn't have a long reload, and it does have a slight, like 1 to half a second wait in between each volley. But yeah, each of the volleys deals increased damage to something. The first shot deals increased damage to structural parts. The second one deals it to weapons, I believe. And the third one deals increased damage to cabins. So yeah, it was a seemingly fairly small nerf, as I literally noticed that just before I was about to make a video on the Corvos, and it didn't really make much of a difference as I had used the Corvos the night before, and they were doing just as well. Snowfall. Durability increased by 5%. The Snowfall is a rocket launcher. It is fairly similar to the Waltz, and yet not. So this one has a limited fire angle and can be mounted from pretty much any side other than the front. It has a similar perk to the Waltz. I actually forgot to mention this part of the Waltz's perk. So for each rocket that hits the target, the subsequent reload is reduced by 1 second. So the reloading of the weapon is reduced by 1 second for each rocket that hits. The Waltz has a similar hitting an enemy with a full burst at a distance of at least 25 meters will boost the reloading by 50%. The higher the vehicle speed, the faster the weapon rotates. That's the other part that I already mentioned. So yeah, they have similar perks. I actually think the Snowfall's perk might actually be better, but the Snowfall has a longer reload too. So there's that. But yeah, they both fire through rockets, only the Snowfall fires them straight, whilst the Waltz fires them in a spiral. M29 Piercer, damage reduced by 3%. I'm not too surprised. The Piercers, I don't see a lot of people running them, but that's because I'm running higher power score builds as of late, so I'm not facing them as frequently, but if I can find them, the Piercers are, yeah, pretty strong. They, you can fit up to 4 of them. They're fairly accurate. They boost the speed of your vehicle, and they have a fast reload. And with 4 of them on, they do a pretty decent amount of damage. So yeah, I'm not too surprised they were nerfed slightly. But again, 3% doesn't affect the damage by too much. Young Wing, durability increased by 10%, reloading time reduced by 0.25 seconds. I haven't played with the Young Wings, so I am unsure how significant the durability increase is, but all things considered, the Young Wings are a fairly large target, a fairly large weapon, therefore target, which means they can be taken off easier, so the durability increase may actually be quite helpful, though I was actually kind of expecting a damage increase, since they didn't actually seem to do that much damage when I was using them, compared to other weapons. The reload reduction is small, and that was the other main complaint I was hearing about the Young Wings, especially the reload in between bursts. So, yeah, oh, right. Let me show you which they are. I believe they are explosive. Yeah, they are explosive weapons. They are epic. They are grenade launchers. So yeah, this is the only explosive weapon that apparently does bullet damage. And I believe that is because these things fire straight, as in they are 100% accurate with the exception of travel time. I know I saw a Youngwing Leviathan in here. Hold on. I need to be in my Leviathan spot in order to actually show this thing. So, as you'll see, they fire pretty much in a straight line, directly forward, or wherever you're facing. Whereas most other explosive weapons have some form of inaccuracy to their shots. Alright. So, next, 19. GL55 Impulse, damage reduced by 5%. Why the Impulse's damage was reduced by 5% and the Retcher's damage was reduced by 3%, I am unsure, as the Retchers are significantly stronger than the Impulse. As a matter of fact, I've never actually done super good with the Impulse. I did try them out in Clan Wars just for the hell of it, and they did fairly okay, but they didn't do that well. And Retchers have, in my experience, done way better. They're probably one of the strongest weapons against large builds, whether it's Leviathan, Clan Wars, or like 11k or higher power score. So I'm unsure why these got a more significant nerf. And they kind of need, in my opinion, the Impulse kind of need a durability buff, as that's the main problem I've always had with them, since you can only fit 2 of them. One unshot to them with a cannon, with most cannons, and they're gone. So they fall off pretty quickly. Now, I haven't tried upgraded impulses since I don't have upgraded impulses, so it's possible that upgraded they're actually insanely strong for an epic weapon, in which case I can understand why the nerf, but I'm not sure about that. Prosecutioner, damage reduced by 5%. Oh, I skipped over the elephant. Elephant damage reduced by 5%. Cannoneer damage reduced by 5%. So, those are all 3 cannons. One is a rare cannon. So, oh wait, cannons. We can start with the Cannoneer. Again, very few people actually have this thing because it was apparently a leaderboard reward or part of a limited time pack. This thing, however, is available in the store, so you can purchase it. I did have one at one point. They have a much slower rotation speed than the little boy, but higher damage. I think they have a slower reload as well. Elephant Cannon, these guys are pretty decent. They do a good amount of damage. Yeah. Their damage is increased by it. Their damage is increased by the amount of durability your vehicle has, so yeah, if you have a high durability vehicle, well, actually, hold on. Well, yeah, if you have 15k durability on your vehicle, then is that 15k? Yeah, if you have 15k durability on your vehicle, these things do a lot more damage, so yeah, there's that. Prosecutioner, I'm not surprised these guys' damage was nerfed. They do a solid amount of damage. They have a fairly fast reload. They are a course cannon, so they have limited fire angle, as in they can't rotate 100. They can't rotate in a circle, but they have a fast reload, deal a lot of damage, and the limited angle they do have, they rotate fairly fast in there as well. So yeah. And also, reloading speed is increased by 30% if there's no enemies within 50 meters. So yeah, even faster reload. Elephant, Cannoneer, and Prosecutioner. Yeah. Why the rare cannon was nerfed, I'm unsure. I barely ever see anyone run it. Then again, I'm not running power scores low enough to be in where people are running them, so I'm, again, not sure. And lastly, algorithm damage was increased. 23 on the weapons. Algorithm damage was increased by 5%. Now, if I remember correctly, the algorithm, I know it's an energy weapon. Yeah, it is the common version. So I may at some point actually try it out. You can fit up to 4 of these on your vehicle. I may try it out. It's been a while since I used it, so I am actually not sure how much damage it was doing before the nerf, but the fact that its damage was increased has me very curious, as it did seem to do a fairly okay amount of damage especially for a common weapon from when I used it before. Now, for the cabins. Wonder Bar, durability reduced by 5%. I do remember that the cabins had very little that was reduced. For the most part, it was all buffs. This guy's a flamethrower cabin. He is only part of a limited time event or something, and he's no longer available. I think he might be in the shop, in the market. Yeah, I believe the Wonder Bar is in the market. Yeah, it's in the market for 8,000 gold. Next we have the Griffin. Durability increased by 5%. Distance to charge the perk reduced from 250 to 200 meters. Now, the Griffin, I'm actually not sure how, the durability increase is fine. The distance to charge the perk, I am not as sure about. I see this one very commonly on shotgun builds, sometimes Hyperion builds and stuff like that. Fast builds in general, especially builds that are running things like stealth. Turret builds as well. I see this thing on turret builds because the perk that gets charged allows you to have 2 charges on your active module. So if you have a stealth unit, you can hop into stealth, come up, run up behind somebody, and then open fire a blast of shotgun barrage on them, stealth up and run away. Or you can stealth up, do a flyby and drop some turrets, and then stealth up again. You could also use speed booster module and wheels and give yourself a massive speed boost, and then give yourself another one. Yeah, this could also work fairly well with reload modules, especially on, say, a Hulk cannon build. If you have 2 charges of a reload module, that's a lot of damage, because you can activate it twice and fire their cannons twice, or, well, 3 times technically, and pretty much in a row. So yeah. But then again, I don't have the Griffin, so I don't actually know how much of a difference that makes. Bat cabin. Durability increased by 5%. I'll just go over the other two legendary cabins here. Beholder maximum amount of boost bonuses reduced from 5 to 4. So, Bat and Beholder. Those are both legendary cabins. The Bat. This is the Bat. You said it was a durability increase, right? If so, yeah. Makes sense. The Bat's perk gives it a damage boost as it loses durability. I believe it's a permanent boost. So, it only goes away if you, for some reason, get healed. Which, healing isn't currently in this game, other than the, Master Cabin. Not Griffin. The other one was the Beholder, which is over here. So the Beholder, it's the most expensive cabin in the game at the moment, I believe, because it's still a limited edition, and you can only get it from the market. The cabin is pretty strong. I don't know how much of a nerf this was. I'm pretty sure it's far more significant than some of the other nerfs that were on the list so far. Because this guy's perk makes it so that opponents, if I understand it correctly, there is a damage resistance that vehicles have. I believe when you're using, I don't remember exactly, it's been a while since I randomly stumbled across this, but I believe the more copies of the same weapon or something, I believe the damage resistance was decided by the amount of copies you have of, I don't remember exactly whether it was weapons, wheels, both, structural parts, or whatnot. But yeah, it means you take slightly less damage, which is why many of the AIs that you face in PvE can die in one shot from a cannon, whereas if a player were to make that a similar build, they would likely not die in one shot. Again, I'm not sure. It may just be that players have increased health and the AIs have reduced, which is also fairly likely. It may be a bit of both. But yeah. Either way, this ability has what I like to refer to as a death mark. Having played Warbots for a while, they have a active module called Death Mark. When you're looking at an opponent, you can activate it, and that opponent will take increased damage when they're being fired at. Now, this applies to your whole team, and I believe the same applies to the Beholder cabin. Aiming at the enemy and activating the perk adds a mark on that enemy for every 3,000 damage dealt to the marked enemy. Its damage resistance is reduced by 5%. Stacks up to 4 times. Now, because it stacked up to 5, it meant that this could reduce that damage mitigation by 25%. Now it can only reduce it by 20%. The mark resets if the enemy is not weakened for a long time. This thing also has the additional ability after activating invisibility for a short time. After activating invisibility for a short time, firing and taking damage doesn't reset the invisibility effect. So, in other words, you can stealth, and if you haven't finished a salvo, you're not going to be kicked out of invisibility as long as you don't start firing again. The short time is actually very short, but it's longer than any of the other cabins have, because if you're still shooting when you hit stealth, it will instantly cancel the stealth and your stealth will go on reload. Whereas with this guy, it won't, as long as you say you're using Hyperions. You activate stealth just as your Hyperions charge another shot. That shot can be will get fired perfectly fine, and you'll still be in stealth. So yeah, this guy is fairly strong. I feel like the nerf to the amount of stacks his ability can have is more significant, again, than some of the others. But I don't know if it definitely doesn't seem to make him a extremely weak cabin, because he's still mitigating damage or mitigating damage resistance on the enemies, and I believe that applies to everyone. I commonly see this cabin on Hurricane builds for some reason, though actually it kind of makes sense. But I've also seen it on Arbiter builds, like those slab Arbiter builds. I've seen it on Aspect builds and other builds like that. So yeah, I'll go through the first 4 epic cabins from 5 to 7. Yeah, the durability was increased on the bat, okay. Which makes sense with its perk. So we'll start with the demon. Bonuses to the rate of fire, reloading, and damage resistance reduced by 3%. This is that is when the demon cabin is in its immobilized mode. It has 2 modes. One mode where I'll just cover the cabin. The demon has one mode where it has increased tonnage and increased. Wait, is it increased tonnage or increased power? Yeah, I believe it's increased power and increased speed. It is able to move around faster, but it can't fire. Switching modes means the vehicle can no longer move, but has a bonus to fire rate, reloading, and pretty much all that stuff. I believe it has a boost to damage resistance. The second mode disables the ability to move, adds 32% to rate of fire, 32% to reload speed, and 17% to damage resistance. So yeah. So yeah, it's slightly less than it used to be. I don't remember exactly what it used to be. But yeah, it was nerfed again, slightly. The demon has gotten only nerfed since it came out. And it's still a fairly decent cabin, especially with things like autocannons. Or weapons like autocannons. So, Growl, durability increased by 10%. That's not bad at all. Heartbeat, distance to charge the perk increased from 100 to 150 meters. That is a decent nerf, but considering the perk only affects turrets, that's not that big of a nerf, considering most turret players will be driving that quite a bit, since turret play style, you're generally running around, dropping turrets behind somebody or next to somebody and running off. Yeah, if you activate the perk, the turrets gain increased range and so on, but we'll get to that. And Omnibox, durability reduced by 10%. I believe the Omnibox is the last of the nerfs for the cabins. I believe from there on everything else is buffs. So we'll start with the Harpy, because that's the one I remember the most. This guy, he has 2 parts to his perk. One part boosts the ammo modules. It boosts them by 50%, so whichever ammo module you're doing, out of the two besides shotgun, because it only boosts explosive ammo module and what's the other one? Explosive and machine gun module. Or rather, it says it boosts all modules by 50% other than the shotgun module. And currently those are the only other two in the game. They may at some point come out with some form of energy ammo crate module. I'm not sure. And that may mean that this cabin boosts that as well, but I don't know. The other part of its perk hasn't been updated yet. It still says you need to travel 100 meters, but it's actually 150 meters now. But it boosts the turrets for 12 seconds. It boosts their range. Yeah, it boosts their range by 100% and their accuracy by 50%. So yeah, this is good on pretty much all turrets. If they don't have problems with accuracy, like the flamethrowers and the Medusa turrets, then the range is helpful. And if they don't have, then there's the machine gun turrets and stuff, machine gun and rocket turrets, which already have a good range, but aren't as accurate. The machine gun turrets are more accurate than the rocket turrets. Oh right, I forgot. There's a couple other cabins for me to show. So Omnibox durability was nerfed on this guy. I'm not sure how good or bad that is. Probably not the best. It was nerfed by 10%, so that's fairly significant. This guy is an extremely popular build for a lot of players because it's similar to the Demon Cabin, only you don't lose mobility. In one mode, it has increased speed and power. In the other mode, it has increased or accelerated fire rate, reload rate, and charge rate. Or charging speed. So yeah. So plasma cannons charge faster. In other words, their bursts happen more frequently. Cannons reload faster. Machine guns fire faster. Well, all weapons fire faster other than cannons, which only have one shot. With the exception of the Midanes, if they classify as a cannon. As I'm not sure if they classify as autocannon or cannon. But that's irrelevant here. So yeah. Oh, right. And Growl. Where is the Growl? I believe it's back here. I always call it Growl, but it's Growl. Yeah. So this guy's durability was increased by 10%. He has pretty much the same, I think it's a very similar perk to the Bat Cabin. For each 200 units of damage received, the speed and power of the armored car is increased by 1%. The outgoing damage of melee weapons is increased by 2%, stacks up to 10 times. The boost resets if you don't receive any damage for more than 12 seconds. So yeah, that is a fairly melee-focused cabin. Alright, so that's those three. Next, Hot Rod durability increased. Photon durability was increased on Hot Rod by 10%. Photon durability increased by 7.5%. And Blight, which is in between the two, durability increased by 10%. Distance to charge the perk was reduced from 200 to 150. The Blight is kind of the epic version of the Wonder Bar. They're both cabins based around flamethrowers. I don't remember what the Blight or Wonder Bar does right now, but the Wonder Bar has an active ability similar to the Harpy Cabin, but it boosts the range for flamethrowers, adds 20% to damage apparently. It boosts flamethrowers for 8 seconds, adds 20% to damage, 100% to range, and 50% to accuracy. Okay, I did not realize flamethrowers were inaccurate. But, okay. And now you need to travel 150 meters to charge it rather than 200. That's not bad at all. Hot Rod durability increased. Not bad. Just means it's slightly stronger or tankier, or however you want to put it. It won't die as fast by a little bit. And Photon durability was also slightly increased on this guy. That's not bad. This guy, if I'm not seeing Omnibox, then I'm seeing Photon or Icebox in Clan Wars generally. And all of these cabins serve a different purpose. Icebox boosts cannons and course rockets. It gives a somewhat larger boost to course rockets than cannons, but same difference. Photon boosts plasma weapons and combat lasers, making plasma weapons apply overheat and making combat lasers apply overheat faster if they already apply it. So yeah, this guy is pretty strong as far as that goes, since a lot of people run plasma weapons in Clan Wars. Yeah. So yeah, slight durability increase is good. Now for the last three. Oh, I did miss a legendary cabin. There's one all the way at the bottom. So, the Master Cabin, total durability restoration from the perk was increased to 30%. I don't know what it was before. I don't know if it was like 25% or 20%, but I'll go read what its perk does to you guys. Sprinter durability increased by 5%. That is a common cabin, but I guess that's fine. Bear durability increased by 7.5%. Alright, so let's go look at these, and that'll basically be the video. I do kind of apologize for making a 50-minute long video. The bear, it has a boost to tracks. So, damage resistance of installed tracks is increased by 25%. The maximum bonus speed of the installed tracks is increased by 10%. Each mounted track increases the cabin's power up to 6 times. I am not sure. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure what power is. I'm not sure if power translates into acceleration or into tonnage or a mix of the two, or if it's something else like strength or damage resistance, or not strength, health or damage resistance. I'm unsure what qualifies as cabin power. I mean, it says up here the power next to the stat bar thingy, but again, I'm unsure what that represents. But yeah, the bear has a 7.5 durability increase. Sprinter cabin has a 5% durability increase. And now for the master cabin, which is over here. So, this cabin is fairly unique and can be fairly strong on some builds. Me and my clan even faced a cannon build in Clan Wars that was running mammoth cannons and the sprinter cabin, and was doing extremely good. So, when the perk is activated, the cabin heats up to 100%. After 3 seconds, the cabin begins to cool down to 0% for 3 seconds. During the cooling period, all parts mounted on the cabin except for wheels, frames, and the cabinet itself recover 10% of durability. The cooldown is 9 seconds. Okay. So the only percent I'm seeing here is the 10% of durability. So that means that was increased to 30% of durability. That's a significant buff. This means if you have weapons mounted on top of the cabin, armor mounted to the sides of the cabin, not like that's going to make much of a difference since armor mounted to the side of the cabin, or armor period, usually gets taken off in a couple projectiles. Whether it's a missile or two, or a few machine gun shots, but yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much all the balance changes. For the most part, I think good. I'm still confuzzled about that Retcher and Impulse change, but Shrug Marine, I have no idea what happened there. But anyways, yeah. I did kind of see the Jubakus getting nerfed. I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference to how they perform against Leviathans. I expect probably not. They're still probably going to melt Leviathans in one shot because if you've ever noticed if you play the game, when you're down to just a cabin and you're sitting in the Jubakus, your cabin takes damage from them fairly slow. Or at least much slower than the rest of your vehicle. Your weapons will fall off. Your weapons and armor will all fall off and break pretty fast compared to your cabin. I'm honestly not sure why that is, but yeah. At any rate, that has been pretty much my that's been my balance change overview. Hope you enjoyed, and if you watched till the end, well, thanks. Anyways, I will talk to you next time.